Thank you, Stephen. Thanks to Jordan Lee. Here's this Group B. JT, name or two for you off this list.
One of the guys that stands out to me, Gerald Sporer, and one of the reasons is he's one of the few people in the field that actually has some experience on this lake.
Louisiana guy, able to come over here to Northeast Texas and fish Palestine a little bit. Marty, how about you? We check in with Gerald Sporer.
Gerald, give me an update.
All right, well, we just started the tournament, and we're in an area that I've caught them in the past, but hadn't been able to fish it in practice because of the wind was blowing right in here, but it's perfect for a south wind. Just had one boil on this swim jig and missed him, and it looks good in here. Water looks good. Water temperature's around 66 degrees. And I just know that they really use this area to spawn, so I'm hoping it's going to be good. I know guys didn't get to fish it in practice because the wind was blowing right in here, so that's why I chose to start here. So, one bite already. Tons of little reeds everywhere and little pockets to throw a frog and swim a jig and a lot of stuff to fish. So I'm going to hit this pretty hard before we even think about doing anything else.
Sporer finished 24th in our first heavy hitters event in 2020. Did not qualify for last year's event out in Raleigh. JT, you were saying one of the few anglers with some experience fishing at Lake Palestine.
Yeah, I spoke with him a couple times about this event, and he's actually spent quite a few days on this place. He lives 3 or 4 hours away, but some of the big team trails that he fished years ago and stuff came here, and he said he's got a lot of experience on it. So I assume that's really should help him, just simply because he's one of the only people in the entire field this week that has any knowledge of it. So I think that's going to be a big help for Sporer.
I think Jeff Crete was saying he fished here on the old Red Man Trail back in the 90s, I believe it was. But yeah, not many guys with experience.
Probably the two with the most experience would be Kelly Jordan and Jeff Sprague, and neither one of them are in this event.
Maybe Shin Fu Kai have been here.
Chad, I'll tell you this, when it's a waxing gibbous during the spawn, look out for the fireworks.
Wax on, wax off. Out to Gerald Sporer.
Good one. There we go. That's how we start heavy hitters. Choke that Nomad prototype swim jig.
£4 pounds, 1 ounce.
All right, good start. Pretty fish. There we go. Right off that reed clump. These fish like to spawn on these reeds. There's like no water up there, but you almost can't get too shallow on this lake. They will be in the dirt.
Heard Gerald say it was a Nomad prototype swim jig. He was telling me last night that Nomad's actually coming out with a line of freshwater baits. A lot of you guys, if you offshore fish, you recognize that name. They make a lot of wahoo baits and tuna baits, things like that.
I mean,
Big
look at
respected
how
name in
that is.
saltwater.
You might have to go back there.
Now they're using Gerald to throw their name in the freshwater business.
He's a saltwater guy too, though.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't work out to get back out. That's on the clock.
Back over to Gerald Sporer.
That will score. Oh,
Gerald, that's a fish landing violation. 2-minute penalty.
oh.
Take it off, please. Yeah. 2 pounds, 15 ounces.
All right. Nice male. Yep, that was, they're biting, man. That's 2 good ones. Good start. Got a little penalty, but that's all right. It was worth it. Got a lot of stuff to fish in here. So I feel like I made the right decision coming in here. Even though I didn't get to practice this, I just knew that this is a good area for a south wind. So far so good. Keep it up.
Tell me a little bit. You're using that score tracker too, with Steven's further back in there just to kind of keep a gauge.
Okay, yeah. So 2 of us launched them in Flat Creek. Flat Creek was kind of unfishable in practice because of wind. But me and Browning both launched in Flat Creek. We have it to ourselves. No other competitors are here at the moment. And he's catching them back there. I'm catching them up here. At some point, I may end up back there. He may end up here. But we're going to keep an eye on each other. And so far, Flat Creek seems to be doing well compared to the rest of the field.
Yes, it does. Gerald Sporer leads, and Stephen Browning is in second place. They have caught as many bass between the 2 of them as the rest of the field combined, 4. And Sporer will emerge from the penalty box here in about 45 seconds as the leader.
And I'm sitting here looking at them on our GPS tracking system. I'm going to say 3/4 mile apart
30
between the 2. So there's a lot of water in there. And you hear me talk about it all the time. I think patterns are one of the most overused words in the whole sport.
27.
Areas fire.
If you use an anemometer, JT, you can find out exactly how hard the wind is blowing. Do you have an anemometer?
Yes, I do, and I don't know why you're kind of stumbling on that word, Chad.
Tough word to say.
Usually you're so good at that. As a matter of fact, that is derived from the Greek word anemos, which means wind.
Nice. And we now know what Rob carries around in the cargo van, meteorological equipment.
There's other stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
See, but I'm going to disagree with him on the pricing. Has he seen the price of windows that JT's looking out of lately? Them things are expensive.
So what time is the wind going to start to gas? I mean, how much?
About 7.5 minutes.
Perfect.
So you're really back in here where these guys are, and obviously as the day goes, the wind is going to build throughout the day. But these guys have gotten themselves back into some areas where even once it does pick up to that that 25 and 30 mile an hour. These guys, it's not going to be nearly as bad back in these backwater areas. So that's a great thing, like Marty was talking about earlier with the trailering policy. They can find a ramp that's close to these backwater areas where they want to fish. And the good news is that we're actually in a time of the year in the springtime when these backwater areas are where the guys want to fish anyway. Like if this tournament was in June or something like that, where the guys would want to be out in the main lake, fishing offshore, that at 30 mile an hour winds, it would just be basically a catastrophe. But with this, they're able to get back into the backwater areas where they want to be anyway, and it's going to work out just fine today for these guys, unless the backwater they chose isn't working and they want to move, and then, well, it's going to be a convoluted mess.
I would say our trailering policy is one of the biggest game changers that this format has done. Other than the fact we know the score and every bass can be a scoreable bass, this trailering policy, it's a rarity now for us to lose a day of competition. About the only way we're going to lose a day or lose time is through lightning now. But now it hits the 40, even with the protected water they've got. When that first number's a 4 and there's another one following it in any type of fishing, it is difficult at best.
You're right with the trailering policy, though. I mean, we're still able to play the game, and the real game is them
Gerald,
catching the bass.
1 hour and 30 minutes remaining.
I mean, of course, there's a lot of people that say, well, we like the variable of having to get back to the weigh-in on time and the decisions you have to make. I like the game. I like catching bass. Like I've always said, I don't even really like fishing. I like catching.
That's right.
I like catching way better than fishing, and I like the game way better than worrying about getting back to a weigh-in, even though that's what I did for 20-some years. But it's starting to grow on me, Marty.
Some of our biggest stressors as competitors was that boat launch first thing in the morning. A lot of high-powered boats, a lot of amped-up fishermen. There's a danger element right there.
Sure.
And then coming back in and trying to beat the proverbial clock. Mm-hmm. And there's no telling what you come around that corner and you misjudge what the wind looks like. Someone's in for a rough boat ride.
It's like every day at work, if you know you don't show up on time, you get fired.
Yep.
That's what the run back to the ramp is every day. And everybody,
do?
Well, we don't. At least I hope not. But that would be the parallel that I would draw. That's what it was for you guys for so long, but not anymore on the Bass Pro Tour.
Going to win the events and they're going to walk away with $275,000. That's going to happen before this is all over with.
It's almost as much as Bobby Lane won for winning Red Crest. As we get over to Gerald Spore.
Gerald, we were just talking. Tell me about why you kind of like this area. I mean, the variety and amount of fishable areas is really great.
All right. Yeah, what makes this spot special is just one of those real sandy pockets in this creek. It's probably, that's a big community hole. I always see boats fishing every time I come here. But they got all these reeds and all these little pockets, and they just come here to spawn, and it's so many, like everything can have a fish on it. You never know where you're going to get your bite from, so you got to hit every single little nook and cranny. So even though it looks like a small area on the map, it'll take at least 4 hours to fish the whole thing and fish it right. And then by then you can come back and hit it again. Fish just keep coming and reloading, and so you could spend the whole day in this one little area that's about the size of 2 or 3 football fields. And we might just end up doing that. It's perfectly protected. Man, something just jumped right through that there. perfectly protected by a south wind. You can catch them frogging, swim jigging, punching, flipping the reeds. So I'm kind of just going through it pretty quick with everything, quicker than I should be, but I plan on hitting everything more than once. You don't have a lot of options in this wind, so it makes no sense to try to go running around and not spending time on a trolling motor.
Last time we saw him in Texas, what are you, third at Rayburn, right? Mm-hmm. Throwing a swim jig.
So Ott Defoe is the leader over in Group A, 35 pounds, 9 ounces. We're not on that kind of a pace today up at the top. We will see about what 8th place is. Was listening to Ott and his reaction yesterday, and Marty, I'm sure this warmed your heart a little bit. First off, everybody's fishing shallow.
Right.
It is not necessarily a forward-facing sonar derby, but Ott said, I think I'm doing what I need to be doing, given what the weather forecast is and the phases of the moon, he said.
They're drinking the cool. Well, we're coming in on a full moon, and these fish have been held back for weeks because of all the cold weather and all the fronts that's come in. And you're coming in on this hard full moon. This lake's a little confused right now. You've got shad spawning at the right time. You've got bass that haven't spawned yet, the majority. So you've got a lot of things piling in on the bank. And with that full moon coming up, there's just going to be more and more fish coming in. But I don't know if these guys are going to get a good sight fishing day until championship day with the wind. Right now, though, we've been fortunate so far this morning. It doesn't look, now we're not getting a main lake view, but it doesn't look as bad as it's going to get yet.
Out on the main lake, it says right now it's blowing 16.
That's bad enough. I don't want no part of it. Not on this lake. Not as hard as it is to get around.
Time to peel off a layer.
See Gerald getting down to his fighting weight.
Yep. Gerald had a great year last year on the Bass Pro Tour. Made 3 top
Looks like
10s.
I'm gonna have that option.
And one of his top 10s, as we were talking about, came at Sam Rayburn Reservoir last year. Finished 3rd in that event. He finished 9th on the Harris Chain, 8th on the St. Lawrence River, and qualifying himself for both Redcrest and the General Tire Heavy Hitters. And one spot ahead of Russ is Gerald Sporer. He has 2 scoreable bass for 7 pounds total, including a 4-1.
Gerald, give me an update before the end of the period.
Well, it's getting bit pretty good on that island behind me this morning. And I thought once I started getting tight to this bank, I would get a bunch of bites, but that hadn't been the case. They seem to be on that island back there, which I'm letting rest. And I'll hit that at the start of the period. But again, this area got hammered with a north wind for several days, and It doesn't look hurt, but it may have been enough not to set these fish up back here like I want them to be. But who knows? In the third period or so, they might be a bunch of them pull up, and I don't know how far along the spawn is here. There's definitely a lot of fish that's already spawned. But there should be fry garters and everything else around this area. I know a lot of fish like to spawn right here. Oh, I watched him eat it and I missed him.
Our leader, Stephen Browning, has added another scoreable bass, a 2.5 pounder. So he's up to just 1 ounce shy of 21 pounds. And he has an 8-pound lead over Jeff Crete. Gerald Sporer is 13 pounds, 15 ounces off the lead.
And Sporer and Browning are in the same creek. This was overwhelmed.
It's awesome.
Maybe 2 pounds.
Here's Gerald Sporer with the last minute catch.
2 pounds, 1 ounce.
Yeah. I'll take them all day. It's hard to feel your jig in this wind. Throwing a swim jig on 50-pound braid.
Got 2.5 minutes, Gerald.
So that'll move Sporer up to 4th place. He jumps past Russ Lane and Edwin Evers.
Just got to get it around them. Probably catch some when we make a pass on that island again.
Two-minute warning here toward the end of period 1.
2 minutes.
Gerald Sporer is our 4th place angler. 3 scoreable bass for 9 pounds and 1 ounce in the first period.
Sporer's been going back and forth between 2 things, a Nomad swim jig and a Missile Baits D-bomb, but it looks like so far the swim jig is doing all the heavy lifting for Sporer.
Gerald Sporer is in 4th place, 1 spot behind Jordan Lee.
This was hard.
Gerald, what's your plan for the second period?
We'll make a round on this island, these couple of islands right here. I'm going to go up this shoreline a little bit. I haven't hit none of that. Then maybe go to the back. Just keep swimming this jig right now. I just saw a fish.
Don't like clowns.
I think you like the clowns. It's just the clown shoes that really throw you off.
And I think there's one good snake at Edwin, but that's just me.
Ooh. Close.
2 pounds, 0 ounces.
On the money. It's tough in this wind, but man, you can barely even feel the bite. I saw that bite. I'm swimming that swim jig kind of high in the water column, so you can, sometimes it's pretty visual.
Up over 11 pounds for Sporer now. It's his first scoreable bass here in period 2.
Gerald, you now have 11 pounds and 1 ounce. You remain in 5th place. You need 1 ounce to move into 4th place. 8th place is now Josh Bertrand with 4 pounds, 4 ounces.
He caught 1 fish?
2 fish.
2 fish? Good for him.
Over to Gerald Sporer as Browning gets up to 41 pounds, 4 ounces. That's his 5th scoreable bass this period, his 12th on the day. He also has the Berkeley Big Bass, currently a 7.7. Browning's one of 9 anglers to qualify for the previous 2 Bass Pro Tour General Tire heavy hitters and make the knockout round. 9 guys, including Browning.
But he'll score.
2 pounds, 9 ounces.
A long, narrow one. All right, that wasn't a total waste of time going down that bank. Burning down the bank right here and waiting to get to this next little nook.
How about we check in on Gerald Sporer? How's that sound, JT?
I'm in.
13 pounds, 10 ounces, 5 scoreable bass for Sporer.
Gerald, give me an update.
Well, I just switched areas. I'm back here throwing a chatterbait in this protected area back in the creek. Just had one miss it. I saw him. He was a decent fish, but so far not much is going on. Seemed like the whole score tracker shut down. We're going to give it a little while back here, though. Let my area further up the creek rest. See what we can do back here. Unfortunately, I got back here too late, and Browning was already back here catching these fish, so I don't know how bad he hurt it or what, but wish I'd have came back here sooner. We'll give it a little while. Oh my goodness. Just missed another one. The wind's so bad it's hard to feel the bait.
We swing over to Sporer.
That was heartbreaking. Good 4-pounder. Jeez. very heartbreaking right there. A big weight. He got that weight swinging. Took that hook right out. Not much you can do. Hit him with 65-pound braid, a 7-11 extra heavy rod. And that was beautiful. As soon as I flipped in there, so yeah, there she is.
Getting himself up into the top 10. Good position. Same. Gerald Sporer sits in 5th place. He fell back 1 spot during that period, caught 9 pounds in period 1 and added 4.5 in period 2.
One of the guys that actually has some experience on this lake, Sporer's been throwing a nomad swim jig and also pitching a D-bomb around, and we just saw him have a really devastating loss on a big fish just a few moments ago.
So 13. Gerald Sporer, he sits 5th, 13 pounds, 10 ounces, 5 scoreable bass for him. Did not catch a scoreable in period 2.
If Brownie didn't have that little pesky kid named Jay Lee, he would be Cadillacing the day. 26-12 ahead of 3rd place.
Mm-hmm.
But Jay Lee is just close enough that they're going to push each other for that automatic spot, I have a feeling.
Stuff on my blade that made it stop chattering.
We get back out to calmer conditions, somewhat, in Gerald Sporer.
Protected water.
Protected water.
There we go. Finally got another punching bite.
£2 pounds, 9 ounces.
Little skinny male. That's how you know that they're pretty far along with the spawn. This one's been up here a while, probably protecting fry. But one thing they like to do is hide up underneath those mats to ambush stuff, trying to mess with their fries. So that's why I like punching this time of the year. This is just a 1 ounce weight with a D-bomb. Zematoma. Favorite color. Need a new one.
Zematoma, you know what color that is?
Something to do with red?
Black and blue.
Okay.
Black
Like a
and blue.
bruise, like a
Yes.
hematoma.
That's right. Missile baits made by John Cruz. And the D-bomb, Ish Monroe's made that thing. It's as famous as anybody.
Randy Howell caught the biggest bass in Bass Pro Tour history on an Ish Monroe signature rod.
Gerald, with that fish, you now have 16 pounds, 3 ounces. That moved you into
Does Ish
4th
get
place.
partial credit for that?
There's
Oh,
been
he'd
no
get
change in
royalties
age.
off that rod's what he gets.
That's credit enough.
That's all the credit you want's in the bank account.
A scoreable fish would move you to 3rd.
Take Randy and his wife and
Another thing
kids
about
out to a nice
punching.
dinner.
You can catch a heavy hitter's fish. Big Mac Daddy. Same kind of deal, just sitting on that little corner. There ain't much water underneath them mats either.
We move over to Gerald Sporer. That fish also got Ayler up to 5th place, and he's at 20 pounds and 7 ounces for the day.
That is some good camera work on that swim jig.
It just went away.
Big. Oh, so strong.
That is another Texas toad.
Oh! Jump that swim jig. Oh my goodness. Please be over 7.
He ain't got the update. It's going to take an 8.
6 pounds, 2 ounces.
Man, I was hoping he was a $25,000 fish because he's still a stud. Look at that beautiful thing. Ate that swim jig in like 6 inches of water. Whew. Right before that, another one chased it to the boat, flew up on it right in front of the boat. I didn't catch my breath.
Let's all catch our breath because we had it taken away by this right here. A 6'2" for Gerald Sporer that has him in 4th place.
I think the introduction of Nomad Swim Jig to the freshwater market is being a success.
I would have to say so.
Palestine guys is starting to show out like we thought it would a little bit.
That it is. And Gerald Sporer sits 5th.
Postponed for sure.
Carol, tell me about that last fish.
Man, I'm just back here fishing some water I looked at in practice, but I burned through it so quick. I didn't really, all I did was kind of acknowledge it in practice, and this is the first time I'm actually fishing it. And it kind of looks good, but it's kind of swampy back here. And I'm just going along throwing my swim jig, and that 6-pounder just chokes it on the edge of that grass. So you can't, it's almost like you just cannot be too shallow. It's crazy.
Does that make you rethink any areas that you maybe passed up earlier?
I probably should have swam my jig through where I was at earlier because I'm real confident. They just, everyone that eats it, like really good. But I'll definitely hit that stretch again on day 2.
Is because just access to a little bit deeper water, where everything up here where we see these guys fishing back in these marshes and stuff, like Rob Newell was telling us, out in the middle of these marshes, out in the middle of the open water, it's still you're dragging the bottom.
Right.
And not to say that there wouldn't be a great big fish or two. I mean, we just saw Brent Ayler catch an 8.5 pounder, up in this really shallow stuff. I just think there would be more of those big fish down there in that bottom part of the lake where they just have a little bit more access to deep water. Not that this time of the year they're going to be in the deep water. In my mind, I feel like a 10 and 11 pound fish, he doesn't want to, or she, I should say, doesn't want to be that far from, at least 5 or 6 or 7 feet of water. We're up here, heck, they're miles from water that deep.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Big fish like that,
great
to be a
big
couple
fish.
hundred yards away from shallow water, deep water, and food.
Yep.
For some reason
didn't
I haven't
get
been
big
able to
by
get bit on a
exercise.
cypress tree. Weird.
Sporer sitting in 6th place. He was 5th to start this period. Interesting to see what his strategy is with regard to trying to chase down Browning, whom he trails by 18.5 pounds. Here's Sporer getting a little lunch in, a little late lunch maybe.
Sandwich on a day.
You know, whatever Maggie makes me, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to eat it. This is a turkey, cheese, bread. Just the basics. Keep it simple.
It's kind of like the plan today. Keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Simple sandwich, simple plan.
Yeah. Old white swim jig.
I mean, people want to know what you're eating and where you're eating it.
Usually I have some boudin in the boat. Good day. Good start my Nomad swim jig. Did the deal today. I'm happy. I mean, that was a grind on a lot of wind, and was able to persevere, stayed positive all day, made a lot of good decisions, and only lost a couple fish. So I'm good with that. We doubled the cut line, so let's go out and make sure we make the knockout round and try to beat Brent Ayler's 8-pounder. That's special. We'll try to do that.
Ends at 7:45 Central. Lines go in at 8 a.m. at the General Tire Heavy Hitters tomorrow on the Bass Pro Tour.
That was a good one. Jump that swim jig.
Gerald Sporer, one of the few anglers with experience here at Lake Palestine, the Louisiana native. A good opening day of 22 pounds has him in good shape. Browning's the lead, 18 pounds, 6 ounces over Jordan Lee. We check in with Gerald Sporer, who starts today in 7th place.
Oh, be close. Looks like it. It's a quick start right there.
2 pounds, 7 ounces.
Bam, already. We're getting a little bit left over of shad spawn right now, so that's great with these clouds.
That puts Sporer 13 pounds and 2 ounces above the cut line. And we probably have 3rd through 7th place in the dilemma today. I think Jordan Lee reasonably could, if he gets off to a fast start, chase down Stephen Browning, 18 pounds back. But Jeff Crete, who's 3rd, and all the way down to Gerald Sporer, who's 7th, they are 23 to 26 pounds back, but they're comfortable above that cut line by double digits.
And let's not forget, they fish tomorrow. We're going to find out if $25,000 is enough to make them keep swinging on fish. And I say it will be about midway to the end of the 2nd period. 3rd period, I think we'll see some guys make a business decision.
That fish, you're still in 7th place. You now have a total of 8 fish for 24 pounds and 12 ounces.
Food, and they got great coffee. I don't know how that is.
So do they have their own brand? I mean, that bag coffee up like Black Rifle would?
Yeah, it's not as good as Black Rifle, but it's for
a
quick
convenient stop.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
I prefer
Gerald
Quick
Sporer?
Trip myself.
We got those around here. A lot of them. Sporer caught one early at 2.7. He's in 7th place. 11 pounds, 12 ounces above the cut line.
Gerald, can I get an update?
Yeah, making my rounds on these reeds like I did the other morning. Started out pretty good, had another bite, missed it. The difference, big difference I noticed already is the amount of carp. You can see them just thrashing through these reeds, and they're starting to spawn. I guess that's what they're doing, but they really can tear up an area and run the bass off. So we have 10 times the carp than I had the other day. It just goes to show you what a warm night will do to get these fish going. But I'm sure they're doing it all over the lake, so everyone's gonna have to deal with it. Just need to catch me about 5 of them today. Should be all right if I do that. We got more competitors back here than what we had. Me and Browning had all this stuff to ourselves, and I guess guys are starting to move around some that didn't catch them the first day. And so we launched with 5 boats in this creek this morning. I just would like to get comfortable enough from that score tracker where I can go try to catch a heavy hitters fish. I got a big 3/16 swim bait tied on. I plan on throwing a good bit if I can get some time.
One hour into the day, Sporer with 1 scoreable bass, 2 pounds 7 ounces. He's in good shape. He's comfortable for the knockout round. Like to catch 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, but there's a lot of confusing things going on. Shad are spawning, bass are trying to spawn or have already spawned. Now the carp are up there. This place has had a lot of cold weather, and now everything wants room on the bank end. And there's not enough room for everybody.
You want to talk about something that can roil, since that's our word of the week here, that our wonderful Rob Newell started, getting the water roiled up. Carp spawning along the bank can get the water roiled up.
That's putting it mildly, too.
Come on, Dean, we're talking about bidets. Come on. Well, speaking of Rob Newell and water being roiled up, that was a perfect segue. Nicely done by you, JT. It has been a constant theme, wind shifting directions, moving the water back and forth. A lot of sediment in the water as well. Let's get some Bass Cat water conditions now from Rob. For Russ Lane, and he's within 16.6 of Stephen Browning. Here's Gerald Sporer.
They might make it skinny, I don't know.
Oh yeah, 2 pounds 4 ounces.
Right. It's one of them that wants to live amongst the carp. Just need to keep this jig in my hand. Not get in a hurry.
So he has a 1 pound 1 ounce lead over Zach Burge. Gerald Sporer is in 7th place, 29 pounds 2 ounces. So he's got a 9.5 pound cushion over the cut.
He got started out pretty early this morning on a Nomad prototype swim jig, but he was starting to say that he's really got a lot of carp have moved into his area. He said he thinks that has the water kind of stirred up, and it's not going so well for him now. Let's jump back in the boat with Gerald Sporer. We haven't been with him for a minute.
Looks like he's locked down on one.
I would say he is. Notice these fish here have really been letting these anglers get close to them, and it obviously has to do with the clarity of the water, overcast skies. If this was real clear water and sunny, these guys could not get that close to these fish that are on beds.
Saw that with Defoe as well, too, didn't we?
Looks like a pretty decent fish.
Big
got
fish
him.
for Spore, too. He's there in seventh
In the mouth.
place.
And the mouse.
Took long enough, you little sucker. We got lucky. When I saw that fish, I was on top of it. I didn't think I was gonna be able to catch it.
3 pounds, 4 ounces.
Gave me a chance. Go back to your bed, buddy. All right. Thank goodness I didn't take much longer than that, because I was starting to think, man, it's hard to bed fish with the score tracker going off. Thankfully, he bit, so it was worth it.
You really haven't been doing any bed fishing this far.
No, that's the first one I saw that I would stop on and fish. I've been seeing some smaller fish on the beds, but no, I have not been trying to bed fish. I have not been seeing them that good. There's a big female. She's making big wide circles. Now we can get back to fishing.
That gives Spore a little breathing room up to 5th.
How long it took you to get back here? How long it took you to get back here?
Oh, I came off of the creek.
Oh, I got you.
Off the real creek, jumped in here.
I was like, dang, that's a long way. Yeah.
I bring a cooler to catch crappie. When you see a cooler in my thing, I'm in here to catch fish. I usually just, I let you see all my bass rods in here. I got crappie in here.
I got you.
Dinner in here. I take a week off every month, once a year.
Come over here and catch them.
Crappie fish.
That's good.
I'm gonna go back to Nicholas Center back here.
Go ahead.
Spore having a little conversation with a local kayaker.
Yes, I have a live scope on my kayak.
Dang, they're all decked out.
I might have followed a guy with a cooler full of crappie.
You would have followed him thinking he had a cooler full of beer.
Either way.
He practiced hook and cook. This place has
Burning
got some
kayaks,
crap.
they taking them to
We've
another
seen
level.
that.
They got everything big boats got.
She's taking it forward facing sonar.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Won't do him much good back here, but
He's ready.
he's ready.
Yeah, I hadn't heard you talk much about forward
I think they
facing
want to be
sonar
underneath the
before.
mats
Nope.
like they were the other day.
Wesley messed with it a little bit.
I'm going to burn down this bank right here.
Got 44 minutes remaining in period 2.
I'll burn. I don't know. Kind of want to go fish that back there again before I go over there. I may just do that. Go back here, hit this one more time, then burn down that bank, and then run reeds in the third period.
There's something we don't talk about a lot in sportsmanship in this deal. That first day, Brandon was lighting them up, and Spore and Brandon are in the same creek. And I spoke with Brandon about that because Spore was out front, and he knew Brandon
line
was in the
still holding
back
up?
end of this creek.
Yes.
And they kind of crossed just a little bit with their waters, but Spore knew Browning had that back end to himself. And he has stayed out of there Browning's giving Spore the middle part of the creek. He's taking the back where Gerald,
What's my boy
by
John
all
Burke
rights,
got?
had all the right in the world to go back there and hang out, and he hasn't. And I just think that just shows the quality of person,
He's in
and not to
16th
my surprise
place
that we're dealing with Spore.
13 pounds 8 ounces.
I'm gonna be trained. Figure something out.
One spot ahead of him is Gerald Spore. Spore has 32 pounds 6 ounces. He's only 2 pounds and 1 ounce above the cut line, though.
Yeah, it's been a slow day from here. Right here, we see Spore catch one off a bed, and he got most of his damage though this week on a nomad swim jig, mixing it up in an area not too far from Browning, so we know the potential is in this creek to move on.
Spore probably has a little bit of work to do. I'd say the separation between Spore and Connell is about where the difference is right now. And all 16 of them right there. That's a full score tracker update, Marty.
Getting to know what they did today and overall for the event. That is some detail in that one.
That is right. Name and rank. Gerald Spore sitting at 32.6. He has 2 pounds and 1 ounce of cushion. As Ayler and Crete both just passed Gerald. Understand there's some weather in the area. You've heard a couple of the anglers. You can even see the sprinkles falling.
I'm quickly going to fish through this little area back here and try to get back on some reeds as quick as possible. But I hadn't gone down this stretch yet. I mean, I'm not catching them as fast as they are around the cut line, so I just got to hope I get a few bites this period. Just stick with the program and hope I get the bites.
Gerald Spore sitting in 7th place. He is 2 pounds and 1 ounce above the cut line. But he has Michael Neal in between himself and Zach Burge.
Been changing a lot lately.
Here's the only reason I say that. Browning and this whole group as a whole had big-time wins the first day that they were on the water, and they caught them pretty good. And then today, Browning was kind of struggling that first period, and he didn't have that good ripple in the water. But when that ripple picked up, his bites in that area picked up a lot. And I'm not saying it's completely wind sensitive, but wind definitely helps. So you're saying come championship day, we might not have much wind.
There might not be, but I mean, I'm checking the forecast still for today. Now they're calling for today 25 to 35 mile an hour winds. Well, obviously it's not blowing 25 to 35. Like, it's not. So
championship day, they're calling for 5 to 10, and it'll be 40.
but Thursday morning it's supposed to be 34 degrees.
Holy, say what?
That's what I was talking about this morning.
Ouch.
Yes, all these hopes and dreams of full moons and spawning fish are foiled.
Weather will trump it all.
It never undefeated.
Yep.
Weather and age.
Gerald Sporer, 7 ounces ahead of Michael Neal.
Well, I've been trying to let this rest, but Cliff Pace decided to make it his home. And so I don't know how long he's been hitting it, but I was saving this for the third period. I'm back. Just doing what I was doing earlier. But the cart seemed to have done a lot of damage up here. So I don't have as much confidence in it, but that was the last hope, really.
Got any other spots in your mind you're thinking about?
A couple little isolated patches of reeds around the corner and stuff, but it requires me to move. And the more I move, when I'm moving, I'm not fishing. So at least in this area, I can stay here the rest of the day and pick it apart and hopefully catch 3 or 4 fish. I'm still getting bit. I've just been catching shorts.
So Michael Neal bumps Gerald Sporer out. Sporer now 1 pound 5 ounces behind Brent Ayler as Neal went from 9th to 7th, bumping Ayler back to the cut line. And for the first time today, Sporer is on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I just got knocked out of the cut line, so that happened really quick. We felt good. I mean, at one point, at the end of the second period, I had like a 10-pound cushion, and it just got taken away really fast. And not extremely confident with this area that I had been catching my fish in because of the carp. They're so bad. They've done so much damage, and the bass just don't want to hang out with those carp. So, but it's almost a problem just about everywhere. So I can't just run around and try to get away from it. I just got to keep chunking and winding and hope I get a couple bites.
You look at this thing right now, Sporer's about the only one that can move the elimination line. I mean, I'm not saying Brent Myers, who's 8-14 back, Tommy Biffle, who's 9-6 back, and Mark Davis, 9-12 back, can't. But they got a lot of work to do, and that depends on nobody above it catching another fish.
Mm-hmm.
Sporer's the only one right now that's, what do we got now? 3, 4 guys, 5 guys that you could say is jockeying for position from Zach Burge all the way down to Sporer?
Yeah, you've got basically 5 guys for 4 spots is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Because it certainly feels like Connell, Lee, Russ Lane, and certainly Browning, those guys are safe. But yeah, Burge, Crete, Neal, Ayler, and Sporer.
I didn't think there was no way possible that 2 of our guys could fall out of the top 8 when this morning started.
But they have, and here's one of them. Gerald Sporer began the day in 7th place. He's back in 9th, but only 1 pound 5 ounces below the cut.
Pretty big move. Tell me about what you're thinking.
Well, I was frustrated in the other area I was in for a couple of different reasons. And a lot of times whenever you get frustrated, the best thing to do is just pull the trolling motor up and go somewhere else. This area that I have not fished in the tournament, but I came in here like last minute in practice and had quite a few frog bites in here. already lost I lost a scoreable back there. They don't seem to be eating the frog for me for some reason. As soon as I pick the swim jig back up, I get a bite. I lost it. It's got a lot of reeds, plenty enough stuff to keep me busy until the day's over. I just need to capitalize when I do get bit. I like it because I'm back here by myself and I don't see a bunch of carp. So, maybe one thing left to do, and that's try to catch them.
Cliff Crochet's moved into 10th place. He has 8 fish for 28 pounds and 8 ounces.
Well, he made him a nice little comeback today. Must have
13 ounces.
Over to Sporer, who's 4-6 back.
2 pounds 11 ounces. He's in 16th place for 21 pounds 13 ounces.
Jeez.
Gerald, there's a lot of area to fish, looks like, back in here, but we're running a little short on time. Tell me what the strategy is.
I mean, I can't move again. I'm committed to this. I've been throwing my frog, I've been swimming my jig, and I don't know what the deal is. But I'm not getting bitten. It sounds like the freaking whole lake's going off right now. But not for me. I'm just going to keep fishing this stuff. Who knows? Might catch a 10-pounder.
Eighth place yesterday in Group A. Eighth place yesterday was 25-12. It's 11 pounds better than that already today. And the cut line's gone up 23 pounds today for Group B. Gerald Sporer on the outside looking in by 4 pounds 6 ounces currently. 45 minutes left. Here's Gerald Sporer, 4 pounds 6 ounces below the cut.
Crazy.
Caught 22.5 on day one, 10 pounds 1 ounce today.
Gerald, you made a little color change on the frog. Tell me about that.
I wasn't getting bit on the black one, so these fish are really keyed in on shad right now. The shad spawn's kicked off, and the only reason I had a black one on was because it was so dark, but I wasn't getting bit, so I just wanted to see something with a white belly if they would react to it more. It's crazy because I was getting so many frog bites back here. That's the whole reason I came back here. It must have been guarding some fry or something. Something's different. because they're definitely not eating it.
Under 35 minutes left in the day.
I'm going, hey, you need to double whatever the toll is tomorrow.
So we saw Cliff Crochet, who's 11th. Sporer is 10th. 4 pounds, 6 ounces below the cut line.
Little known fact, the trolls are very good at investing.
Really? Day traders. Well, they got nothing else to do.
For some reason, suckers, they just, I mean, there's fish back here. That one just followed it.
Seem like they'd be conservative investors, though. They just want highway infrastructure, bridges.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of war bonds, I understand.
Oh.
At least he put his mouth on it.
Gerald, we're live. We're throwing something a little different.
Speed worm. Just had one try to eat it.
Yeah, you're good.
"30 minutes left in the day. Can Gerald Sporer find an answer and get himself back above the cut line? He started this day in 7th place, but he's on the outside looking in.
Some similarities.
So Pace is 3:14 back, and in 9th, Gerald Sporer is 10th. He's 4:6 behind Burge.
The first bright sunny day we have and the wind's not blowing, and if you can see anywhere on the bank, I think they're going to be laying everywhere.
I just don't know if we're going to get that in this event.
No, I don't disagree with you at all.
And maybe I'm putting a little too much faith in weather apps.
I thought you dialed up your own AccuWeather forecasts.
Well, I will tonight, but
Oh,
just
okay.
as far as today, you know, kind of on the fly, so to
Yeah,
speak.
been kind of busy here on the set.
It has. I've been terribly busy researching all kinds of stuff up here. It's been a maddening day, but
Well,
we're
we
coming down
almost
to the
had some
end.
weather delays. That makes him go overtime. That Doppler at 20,862.55.
Yeah.
Whatever it is now.
Mhm, that's where our
That thing's
Christmas
kind of
bonuses
it's
went.
kind of tweaky though. You know, I keep having to refresh it all the time, and I've had to update it several times today. I don't know if that was quite all it was cracked up to be, Chad.
So we get a money back guarantee on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't.
Did you buy the warranty?
Well, I did.
Then let's throw it on the floor.
They're not answering. I think that was a farce.
Nervous moments for all these anglers around the cut line.
You can catch like a
Back to Sporer
9-pounder.
with under 15 minutes left.
I'm kind of screwed.
Zach Bird just caught another fish, weighed 2 pounds 1 ounce, moved him up into 7th place with 38 pounds and 13 ounces. Brent Ayler's in 8th with 37 pounds and 14 ounces. Cliff Pace is in 9th with 32 pounds 14 ounces.
He's right up there.
You're in 10th with 32 pounds 6 ounces, 5 pounds 8 ounces out of the cut.
Where's Creed at?
He's in 6th. He has 13 fish for 39 pounds 6 ounces.
lake right there. It's the first time we've been in all day.
I know it.
In 4 days.
14 minutes left here in the Toyota Overdrive.
Thinking if I hit a stump.
Gerald Sporer getting an update there. He is without a scoreable bass in this third period, and that has seen him fall from 5th place back to 10th place.
And Brent Ayler is dreading every score tracker update he's getting.
Yeah.
And here's Sporer, 5.5 pounds back.
Boys, we may have to figure out how to. I don't know how that lake might be getting too rough for us. Blowing like this. There ain't nobody around here that can pick us up and go get in the truck.
Gerald, any thoughts in the last 5 minutes here?
No thoughts. Just can't believe I somehow missed this bite window that happened.
In, Sporer out, and for the day, Burge and Michael Neal in, and Sporer and Mark Davis were the two who fell out of the top 8. And Brent Ayler, JT, wins $25 grand for an 8th